Good morning. Welcome to the Friday edition of the NBA Betting Show. It is New Year's Eve day. We have some potential value on the board for today. We've got some anticipating news. So we're going to jump straight to talking about a few things today, tell you some things to look out for. And then we got a recap from yesterday for some interesting stuff that happened, especially late in the day. Matt Mosman is with me as always. Mike Lockey is busy preparing his New Year's Eve plans, so he'll be back with us next show. Matt, let's jump straight to the action today. What are we looking for? You're expecting some news that maybe others aren't. Is it Philly OKC we want to talk about first?
Let's talk about it. I'm not going to call this expecting, but this is one where it's another situation where there's so much potential value that even though the value is unlikely to happen, we have to be ready for it. So,
and then I do want to make sure this. I saw that Maxi's out. Does this reflect Maxi being out?
I don't think we have that confirmed yet.
I thought I saw it, but anyway, go ahead and talk about what else is happening. I'll take a look.
Yeah, let me know if you see that. He's projected in right now, but Underdog had him listed TBD on their injury thing this morning.
Yeah, I thought I saw something that said he's out, but go ahead, because it's not just the Maxi news; it's other stuff that we're.
Well, also, we don't care a ton about Maxi anyway, because his rating is not that great.
Well, especially if he's still on a minutes limit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, D'Anthony Melton is probably, can we agree Melton is better than him anyway? Melton's more important for now.
Okay.
And Matisse Thybulle plays less if Maxi is healthy, so yeah, whatever. Maxi's okay. He's a little bit good for the team.
All right, so what's the news that you think has a small percentage of happening, but if it does, there's big movement? What are we looking for?
So we have a small percentage chance that Embiid sits today, and then similar probably for James Harden. The Sixers have not played a back-to-back in a long time, and we don't really have a precedent for how they're going to handle these, but they're playing the Thunder today, and this is definitely, if there's a team they can rest against, this would be one of them. The Thunder are one of the worst teams in the NBA, so I think there's a small chance that Embiid rests. I'll call it 5 to 10%. I think the same is true for Harden, and then maybe there's a 1 or 2% chance that they sit both guys.
So let's go with the most extreme. If they both sit, what is the fair line for this game?
About OKC -4.
All right, and there's OKC plus 4.5 right now.
Yeah.
So obviously this isn't something to do right now, but if there's any, it's almost one of those. If they show up even as questionable at this point, you're going to assume they're out.
Yeah. The other thing is, so we're projecting this line as a neutral bet, and the first thing I'll say is, you can tell if the market is pricing something in based on if player props are available for them. Embiid and Harden have props listed. There's no variable here for this that's accounted for. I mean, I was saying yesterday if the line opened at 7 or 8, you should just take the Thunder, and that would have been, it never was that high. The fair line is around 4, and that's what it is. We're seeing the line where it should be. If you are betting somewhere where you can cash out, you should just bet the Thunder now. Because if Embiid and Harden are in, this is not going to move the line. They're already expected in. If Maxi gets ruled out, then you actually may be able to cash out for a profit, or you just let the bet ride or whatever. But there's no real downside to betting early for this one, barring something unforeseen happening to SGA. Which, we have no reason to think that. They're not on a back-to-back. He doesn't really rest. Even on back-to-backs, he's been playing most of them, but this isn't even a back-to-back. We don't have him on the injury report. So what I'm saying is you can bet this now, and then if no news happens, you just cash out before the game. And what that will do is ensure that you don't miss the bet if the news happens.
Fair. Yeah, the lines move so fast. We joked about it yesterday or the day before about, forgetting your life, watching Matt's Twitter account.
Yeah.
I've done that for a day or two and still missed bets. So I'll probably get a bet in on this one at OKC plus 4.5, and then be ready to either cash out or hedge depending on what's happening.
Yep.
I think that small percentage probably would be higher if the Sixers had won last night.
I agree.
But alas, they had a nice 8-2 run. They had best net rating in the last 10 games in the NBA for overall. But they couldn't beat the Pelicans last night. So probably those guys are playing. But yeah, we're talking about 8 8 or more points of value if they both were to rest. So
yeah, Embiid and Harden are
recommendation.
probably Embiid's not worth as much as people probably would have expected because last year we had him worth like twice as much as this because there was a
Well,
guy
his
who
backup.
his
His backup is the guy we
Yeah.
joke about every week now in Denver. So
Yep.
yeah, and plus he's got Basketball Paul, who might be the
Yeah.
fourth best backup
To
in the league.
Paul.
So, yeah, to Paul.
And Montrezl
All right.
Harrell, like those are guys rated around average, and Embiid is like a +7 per 48 minutes, which gives him like 4.5 or 5 points per 35 or 36 or whatever minutes he plays. So
Yep.
Embiid is worth like 4.5, and Harden is like another 3 or 3.5.
Got it. All right, so let's
Yeah.
not overthink this one.
Yep.
Get a bet in now if you can. If you can cash out, get a bet in now. If not, be prepared to hedge. But OKC plus 4.5 is probably a coin flip bet right now with
Right.
tons of upside. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
let's move.
just for those couple scenarios, if Embiid's out only, it's like a 2-unit bet. If Harden's out only, it's like a 1 or 1.5 unit bet. And if both are
Okay.
out, it's like a everything. Like for me, it would be one where I'm betting as much as possible, and then I'll worry about hedging later. But it's like a 5-unit bet if both guys are out.
Got it. So how much are you betting right now?
I'm putting like a quarter. I put a quarter of a unit on Thunder plus 4.5 right before we started. I think half unit. It depends on what your cash out availability is. That's the thing.
Fair.
And I don't really have access to that. As you get limited, they also remove your privileges sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't really have access to cash outs for like large bets. But if you can if you're betting on a site where it will let you cash out for the full amount, which is key because you don't want to lose the juice for no reason. If you're on a site where that is true, you can bet as much as you want now. You'll be able to cash out later.
With you, and even if you're not in a cash out situation, we're going to talk about this next topic when we talk about the Atlanta game yesterday. But especially if the juice is no more than minus 110, it's probably worth getting the bets in now. Even if you end up betting just the other side and eat the juice as a loss, the potential upside here is so big that it's worth getting something in. All right, let's move to the next game. We want to talk about. It looks like there's potential value for Minnesota if Gobert plays.
Yep.
Is it that simple? If Gobert's in, you grab it and you got 4 points of value.
Yeah, and
Or is there anything else to watch?
I'm kind of debating if we should bet this already,
Okay.
because where's the market here? Yeah, there was a 5.5 at FanDuel that I was looking at. It looks like they already moved to -6. That was the only one. So the value's a little bit thinner. Yeah, it's -6 everywhere. So to go back here, it's 3.5 points at -6.
Got it.
I think you
Okay.
just wait to see if he's going to play. Like I don't expect this line will go up without Gobert shoot around. I think this is a day to have your Timberwolves PR account push notifications because we could get the injury report from them before Underdog gets it. We also are going to get their media dinner menu because that's what Timberwolves PR tweets about. Whether or not Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson are playing, and then what the beat writers are eating at the game tonight.
Only the important.
Yeah, the
stuff.
two most
Good
important
to know.
things you can get.
Right.
So yeah, push notifications for @TWolves_PR, and then we kind of just wait to see if Gobert's going to play. And if there's any positive indicator for him, I'm just going to bet it when we get that. Like I don't need full confirmation.
Gotcha. If Gobert is in, are you looking at getting an under bet for the game total, or is not enough? Not enough movement.
I think I'd rather go Detroit team total under because we have value against that anyway if he's in. Like I'm not really sure. Totals are hard. We did do okay with the one yesterday with Gobert, but they're hard because we don't have a model for them. So I don't know how much the current total is factoring in the probability of him being in or out. Like I don't know what the total should be. So I would lean towards the under for sure if he plays, and I would lean towards the over if he's out, but I don't know how much benefit we're getting in either direction. So
Fair. All right, so we'll keep this one simple. If Gobert is in, grab what's the max line that you would be willing to bet that one at if you get confirmation he's in?
Even -7 is fine. But at -6, like I'm going a little bit north of the unit. 6.5 would be like a 1-unit bet. Yeah. Okay. There's going to be, even if we got Gobert confirmed in and you missed that update, I don't think this line ends up above 7.5. Like it might be okay to just bet this one before tip off if you're preoccupied today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. All right. Let's move on to. You want to scroll up and talk about the Knicks? I think we have value if Brunson's in. Is that what we were looking at?
Oh yeah, the Knicks. Yeah, this one is pretty simple too. It's the same as Gobert, but there's one other quirk here, which is that if Brunson gets ruled out, the line is going to drop, and we will have a Knicks bet anyway.
But yeah, that's what I was going to ask. We tend to be in love with the Knicks backup there quickly. So
he's the best player on the team. Yeah, he's better than Brunson.
So if Brunson's out, where do you think the line is? What's the strike point for making a bet if Brunson's out?
Let's see what we got as current numbers. Yeah, so that 3.5 is everywhere that has it is like minus 115. Although someone just go to -5, that could be a glitch. That may not be real. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's 3.5s that are like minus 115, and then there's 4s at minus 110. We just got Ben Simmons downgraded. Hold on. I don't think that's going to be enough for a bet, but let's just pause for a second. Because one player update could mean a second player update, like Durant or Kyrie, and then we'd have a huge Charlotte bet.
Right.
I'm going to do one other thing here before I forget, because I keep forgetting this guy. And the reason I'm forgetting him is because Underdog doesn't think he's good enough to include in their injury report, but Dennis Smith Jr. needs to be listed here.
What's his net rating?
0.9.
Okay.
Which is a lot. It's a lot better than the rest of the players behind him.
Got it.
He plays good defense, and that is not true of anybody on Charlotte. Okay, so we have Dennis Smith Jr. on here now. It looks like it's just Simmons, and I will add him, but he's not worth enough for us to have a bet, probably. I just want to check this before we resume the next thing. Simmons has a rating of 2, and he's not playing huge minutes, which is part of why he's not that important. Okay, there we go. So the fair line here would be 5.5 now, if or sorry, 6 if he's rolled out. The line is 7.
Okay.
So we can ignore this for now. Yeah, I was just hoping like we got Simmons downgraded, but if we're getting that, it means we also could potentially get like Kyrie or Durant. But yeah, not the case here. So we can ignore that one. Okay, back to New York. We have. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so we know if Brunson's in, there's a bet. What are we doing if Brunson's out? What are we looking for the line?
Right. So if he's in, it's just like a 1-unit bet at 3.5 with higher juice, or 4 at minus 110. If he's out, our fair line is going to go to about 5.5, and I think the real line could drop to 3. So it won't be as much edge as if we just got him in, but we could have like a half unit or higher bet at Knicks minus 3 after he gets rolled out. If it were to drop lower than that, then I'd be really interested to bet even more. But I don't think it would go much lower than that. Did I freeze for a second? Okay, now we're good. Yeah, if it went down to like Knicks minus 2 with Brunson out, then this could be like a really big bet. But I don't think it would move that far.
Got it. Okay. All right. Do we want to talk? There looks like there's some value on Memphis if Herb Jones is out, or is there already value worth betting? Maybe a partial unit?
Yeah, this is not like a big bet or anything, but I think I would probably wait for this news because it's right on the cusp of not really even being a bet anyway. So, yeah, there's like, I mean, Bet Rivers has a 6 at minus 108, which is like a little bit better. I'm debating if I want to just put like half unit on that.
Got it.
Like it's a somewhat of a recommendation. Yeah. If Herb Jones is out though, it's a little bit better, and then I like it more.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. What have they been doing? What have the Pelicans been doing with Zion and back-to-backs?
So that's the other reason to maybe bet this early, because other Pelicans could be out. No, that's a good thing to bring up again. I forgot about that for a second. When I was putting this together this morning, I was almost going to put like the possible rest thing in there, but I'm not sure what Zion's been doing on back-to-back. So they haven't had a lot of them either, kind of like Philly. Zion's impact is like 2.5 points, maybe a little less here, because if he were out, we'd have to, account for garbage time a little bit, or like backdoor covers. But this would be well above a 1-unit bet if Zion were to not play, if he were to get downgraded.
Got it. Right. And again, we're not breaking any news here. We're just looking at possibilities of since they did play last night. They did win last night. I guess tonight's actually a pretty relevant game, though, for Western Conference seedings.
Yeah,
I know it's early in the season to be thinking about that, but
for the Southwest Division, that's probably where it has the largest impact.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was thinking about the overall conference, but is this actually more relevant directly in division? So probably a very low likelihood that Zion sits, but you never know when it's on the second day of a back-to-back. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, anything else for today, or?
Yeah, one other game. If Batum and or Reggie Jackson are out for the Clippers, we have like a decent edge on the Pacers.
Got it.
Batum is actually so this one. The Clippers are weird, in part because their third best player and their fourth best player are almost out of the rotation. Terrence Mann and Robert Covington.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Zubac is fine. Yeah, he's average, whatever. He's their best center, but that's because they don't have any other good centers. But Covington and I'm just gonna check the ratings again because I don't want to be making stuff up. But George is a 5.7, Kawhi is a 4.8, and Kawhi's rating has actually come up a decent amount with him playing well lately, and he's playing more minutes. So that's part of why we haven't been our team rating for the Clippers has gone up a lot in the last week or so. And a lot of it is just Kawhi is playing more. But then after those guys, it's Batum at a 0.7. But ahead of him, Mann is also 0.7. Covington is a 1.2. And Covington doesn't play. So my concern for Batum is if he were out and Covington took his minutes, the team would actually improve slightly. But I don't know if they're going to do that. So that's why this is a little bit vague.
Okay, got it. All right, so I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple things from yesterday. There was an interesting spot. If you've watched the show before, you know one of the probably the biggest thing that swings the line or produces value is if Jokic is out. The second biggest thing is the impact on the game total and even the spread if Trey's out. So we had some Trey possibility out. Then we had a grainy video of him at shoot around.
Yeah.
How did you play this one? We ended up actually getting bets in, anticipating him out. So we took, we bet it one way, and then later when he was in, we ended up just eating the juice. So ended up locking in a quarter unit loss on this as opposed to letting those original bets ride, which actually ended up being, given where we were, we at least got our bets back. So how did you play this one? Were you able to time it properly?
No, it's funny. I lost the same amount you did in a different way. Because when I saw Game Time Decision, I really didn't think that meant anything, but I still bet a half of a unit on the under. And then I ended up betting a quarter of a unit back towards the over, so I lost a quarter also. There was no reason to bet this, though, ultimately, but we the Game Time Decision thing is weird in general because we've had players getting listed as Game Time Decision is its own category. There's out, doubtful, questionable, probable, available, and then Game Time Decision is grouped in with one of those a lot of the time. We've seen doubtful players as Game Time Decisions, we've seen questionable players as Game Time Decisions, and we've seen probable players as Game Time Decisions. And Trey was probable from earlier in the day, and then we got Game Time Decision without him getting downgraded. It wasn't a downgrade. So if you didn't know that, it was very alarming to see the Game Time Decision update, but I tried to tweet it as well as I could, as quickly as I could, because that was, if Trey doesn't play, the total for that game goes from 243 to 231. It'd be a crazy, crazy drop.
We locked in the under. We actually did a game total under 242.5 and a team total under at 124.5 for the Hawks. And then once he was confirmed in, we just bet it. I tried to find some better prices, but couldn't. So we actually just bet it the other way, the same exact lines, just the opposite way. So we ate the vig. But I'm, as I look back on that one, given that I can't monitor it second by second, I'm fine with the way we played it. I think the potential upside, if Trey's out, is just so big, it's worth taking. What we ended up doing, locking in a 25%, or sorry, a quarter of a unit loss. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, it didn't break the way we hoped. So the shoot around, shoot around videos are always funny too.
Mm-hmm.
But like in that way, because sometimes they're just out there and you can tell they're like testing an ankle, or they're just getting some stretches in and they're hanging out with the guys. When Chouinard posted, him doing a fun alley-oop with John Collins, to me that might have been a sign that it looks like he's going to be okay to play.
I mean, even once he was out on the court, I think it was pretty good evidence. The amount of times a player is actually out and doing a full warm-up, maybe the alley-oop was like enough where it was like, okay, he's in. But game time decision, but we haven't seen him out there for warm-ups, is different than game time decision, but he's warming up. So this tweet that I have on screen here is from before we had the warm-up clip.
Right.
So for anyone who's just listening, what I wrote here is weird update. Trey went through shoot around and was listed probable. That had happened earlier in the day. Best guess is he's still probable and has like a 98% chance to play, barring something weird in warmups. Definitely a bit more uncertainty than earlier though. So this alone, I think, warranted just queuing up bets. Really, is what this should have been, because the line was not going to react to an update this vague that quickly. So that's mostly what I did. I queued up like 30-something bets related to the under, the Hawks team total under, a bit on the Lakers spread, a ton of DeJounte Murray stuff, and just like got ready for a potential.
Yeah, I want to make sure, because when we do these recaps, guys, mainly it's not just to talk about exactly what happened, but just learnings for going forward. So a reminder, in these spots, one of the best opportunities, other than those team totals and game totals, is DeJounte Murray assists. Because it's one of the most direct correlations. When Trey's out, his line will go from like 5.5 to 7.5.
More than that, actually. It's like a 2 3/4 assist bump from like 5.7 to like 8.3.
Right. So having those DeJounte Murray overs 5.5, having those ready in your bet slip are great to have.
Even 6.5, even 6.5, like it's still like that bet wins 2/3 of the time, even at 6.5 in that situation.
Got it. All right. So, let's move on. Let's talk about the Nuggets game. What did you end up doing there? We ended up getting a very close to game time, or very close to tip-off bet on, I think it was Nuggets minus 3.5.
Minus 4.5 probably.
Yeah, minus 4.5.
And they won by 5.
How did you play that one? What was the? What I didn't follow all the news. I know Murray was questionable, and then I think it was after I saw he was in, and Gordon in. That's when I rechecked our sheet, saw that it was green at minus 4.5, so I grabbed a full unit there.
So I actually forgot to update for Caleb Martin, which made it slightly better even than that number, because he got ruled out for the Heat. So at minus 4, it was like a 3.3 point edge. We were showing 2.9 on the sheet, but if I had taken Martin out, it was close to another half a point, which whatever, like it wouldn't have changed that much of how much you bet. But I missed it at minus 4. Like I was trying to get the bet in because we got Murray, Gordon, Brown all in at the same time. But then the line only moved to 4.5, which I don't know, it just didn't it didn't align with our numbers. The line didn't go that far.
Did you go more than 1 unit on this one?
I did exactly 1 unit at minus 4.5. Yeah. If I had gotten minus 4, I would have been trying to get a little bit heavier, but at 4.5 it was a little bit less value, so I just went 1 unit. Yeah.
All right. So on that one, guys, moral of the story, this is one that we had talked about on the show yesterday and did say if those guys were in, those guys being Murray, Brown, and Gordon, that there was going to be value, and then the Caleb Martin thing was a little extra. So really everything broke Denver's way.
And then Denver was losing the entire game and then won by, I don't even know if they led by more than 5 at any point. I think this was about as lucky as it gets. I think 5 points, which was a half-point victory, was their largest lead of the game.
Hey, man, I see green in the bet slip when I check the next morning. That's all I need. I guess we have Jordan to thank for the reverse jinx.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
shout
Jordan.
out Jordan thank you for that one. All good. All right. Anything else from yesterday that was relevant?
Yeah, the Warriors-Blazers game was good also, and I feel like I should have given a different recommendation for this one. So I had another tweet here when Nurkic got downgraded that I was taking +3, and if you could only get 2 or 2.5, you should wait, because the market, from past experience, doesn't really react to Nurkic downgrades that much. but it actually dropped a little below that to 1.5. If you got plus 1.5 when he was ruled out, it was still a good bet. Like we had the fair line, like Warriors -1 with him out. So if you were able to get plus 1.5 even, it wasn't bad. But I think grabbing the 2 or 2.5 earlier, in hindsight, I should have been like, just take it.
Okay.
So I like +3 was only available on FanDuel and nowhere else at the time. So when he got downgraded, I just took that, and then I think it was gone within like a minute or so. So hopefully some people got +3, but any Warriors bet would have won because they won the game outright. So yeah, these are hard. Like if you weren't around every second of yesterday, it just wouldn't have. It would have been hard to get a good number on this game, but there was still a bit of value even if you didn't.
Yeah, I did see your tweet about Nurkic, but I didn't get anything on this game. So I think there's still enough value that was around from other games. So let's talk about Utah. That one ended up being a win as well.
Yeah. This is the reason I'm not even happy about yesterday, despite winning every bet that I made. Because for future betting purposes, this one hurts a lot. Utah was up. Utah was down 8 with like 3 minutes left and took the lead. And then Kevin Huerter made a 3 to go up by 1 with I think it was 20 seconds left, and then the Kings held on. So very unfortunate now that we're on Kings to miss the playoffs. Personally, I have Utah win totals, and I've got Utah to make the play-in. I've got Utah to make the playoffs, and all these future things around Will Hardy, Coach of the Year, and the Jazz losing this game was bad for them.
But I understand.
We still covered,
for those that were just looking at what to do on December 30th.
It was great.
It was a win, though.
Yeah, they covered, whether you bet it at 3 or 3.5 or even 2.5 or whatever. Any line you could have got here. We had the Kings projected to win by 1, and they won by 1. That's always nice.
Brilliant. Genius.
Yeah.
Okay. The one positive futures thing is I think you have some of this, but I've got a little Lauri Markkanen most improved player stock at I think +7 or +700 or +750. So
yeah, those still look pretty good. I mean, it's a 3-man race there between him, SGA, and Halliburton. I don't know where it kind of stands. Currently, I think Markkanen's at 500, Halliburton's at 400, and SGA is -150. Yeah, the Markkanen bets look good. It's just he's behind them for now. But if he scores 36 points a few more times, he'll keep moving. He's had a great year.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from yesterday?
No, but there's one thing we missed for today that I want to go back to.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Where do we go? Okay, this Miami-Utah game. The Utah thing reminded me of it. We have Jimmy Butler projected out already. And I think that is by far the most likely scenario. He has not played back-to-backs in a month. But we never know for sure. And if Butler is in, it's going to add 4 or 4.5 points back to Miami. So we have a significant edge on the Heat if Butler plays. He's doubtful, I think, is the right way to categorize him. I think there's a 10% chance he plays.
Okay.
But if we get him upgraded, then we're looking at the Heat.
Yeah, I was going to say 4.5 point swing is enough to, even at just that low percentage, enough to at least keep this on the radar.
Yeah.
And I will ask to help ensure we keep it on the radar. Matt, if you could maybe post some of these. But we have a lot of if this, then do that that aren't terribly complicated. Some of these are just one player. If it's this, then do that. So I'm going to ask if maybe you can give us a little early New Year's present, and maybe give us some specific directions on what to look for. So, all right. So guys, as always, watch the Preaching Sense Twitter account. Watch Underdog NBA. Watch is it Grizzlies or Minnesota PR? To see whether they're having steak or seafood tonight. Always very critical for our betting. Anything else, or are we ready to sign off?
I think we can sign off. I think we're going to skip tomorrow. There's no teams on back-to-backs for tomorrow. There's 3 island games. I will, update the spreadsheet and tweet if there's anything relevant for those. But, I think we'll skip New Year's Day tomorrow and then come back Monday.
Sounds good. And again, guys, on the Preaching Sense Twitter account, there's a link to this value tab that you're looking at here for our models. So if you do check it at some point later in the day, even if you're not getting the wisdom from Matt dispensed verbally, you can at least see what, if you're seeing green on the sheet, depending on what the player questionables are, there will be some potential bets, hopefully. So sounds good. Wishing everybody a happy new year. Be safe and be back with us Monday morning. Have a good one.